Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Chris Stewart, and this is our first tutorial in our series on how to build a hollow wood surfboard. As with every episode of this series, there's going to be a couple of links that are going to pop up in the corners of the screen. The one on the left will take you to the previous episode, and in this case, the one on the right is going to take you to episode 3. Today we're going to discuss the tools that we're going to need for this project. We're going to discuss the list of materials, acquiring a template for the internal framing, and where to get the wood strips for the deck planking. So I'm out here in the shop, and we're just going to go over some of the basic tools you're going to need to complete this project. If you decide to build another board, you can go out and purchase all the fancy tools that you want to, but we're going to keep this as simple and basic as possible because most of you guys are going to be first-timers, and we want to keep your costs down. I'm going to try to go through the tools in the order that we're going to be using them on this project. I may miss a couple, but if I do, we'll go ahead and show them in the series. So, first off, we're going to start off with an electric jigsaw. All these tools you can pick up at your local Home Depot or Lowe's or local, home improvement store. Going to be using a palm sander or orbital sander preferably, but a regular palm sander will work. It'll just take a little bit more work to complete your project, but an orbital sander works great. A hot glue gun. You're going to need a framing square. A small hand planer. I think they call this a thumb planer, but this thing's going to come in real handy. An electric planer, hand planer. Now this isn't required to complete the project, but I tell you what, this thing's going to save a lot of time when you're doing your kind of rough shaping. Another thing that you're not going to be required to have, but it really comes in handy as a pair of dividers. You'll use that for transferring marks. Instead of using a measuring tape, you can just transfer your marks from one place to another. They come in real handy. Once again, not required, but very handy to have. Of course, you're going to need your measuring tape and a pencil. A handsaw. Now you're not going to need a handsaw this big, but a little hand draw saw would be great. But any type of handsaw is going to be perfect for this job. It'll work fine. And clamps. You're going to want a bunch of clamps, all kinds. I use my C-clamps, spring clamps. You will use a lot of clamps on this project. And bar clamps. I don't have one out here right now, but the bar clamp where the clamps slide and you can squeeze some large objects together. You're going to need probably 6 bar clamps, 24 inches long. You're definitely going to need some bar clamps. So let's go ahead and move on to the materials that we're going to need. Of course, you're going to need your internal framing template. Here's another template, and we'll go over how we get these templates and where we get them and how we can get them printed out. You're going to need 2 bottles of Tight Bond 3 Ultimate Woodworking Glue. 2 16-ounce bottles will definitely take care of this project. Glue sticks for your glue gun. And this is another little trick that I learned. You can pick this stuff up at your local home improvement store, usually in the packaging, packing section. It's essentially saran wrap, a 4-inch roll of saran wrap on a tube, And what will you be using that for is we can stretch that out and use it to tie down our material, hold our planks in place, but we'll go over that. This is real handy. You know, not required, but it's definitely a time saver. And then, of course, you're going to need your wood strips. You have two types of wood that are typically used in a hollow wood surfboard. And, you know, you can use any kind of wood you want, but typically what's preferred is a cedar. And what we'll use is a 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 8 foot long strips. At that size, you're going to need 70 strips for this mini Malibu longboard that we're building. What I'm going to use on this project, though, is I'm going to just rip down some spruce strips, 1.5 by 1/4 spruce. I'm just going to rip those off of some nice clean 2x4s. But if you really want a nice light board, you'll want to use cedar. So what you're going to do is you're going to go online, do a Google search on cedar strips, and you're going to see a lot of sites going to pop up. Northwest Canoe is where I always got my cedar strips. You can purchase them. They're going to come in 8 foot lengths. That way they can be UPS to you. There's two types of cedar. You have the red cedar and you have the white cedar. The white cedar is a little bit lighter. It's easier to work with. The red cedar gives some really nice contrast to your boards. The red cedar, when you're working with it, tends to be more of an irritant. The dust gets in your eyes. It irritates a little bit more than the white cedar. But what you can do is you can put a little bit of red cedar in and white cedar in, stagger your strips for a little contrast on your boards. So what we're going to look at now is acquiring these templates. What I went to was tree2c.org, and they have a little link there that you can go and purchase the templates. They're $20 a piece. This guy has all kinds of templates you can buy. You just pay for them $20 on PayPal. Well, right now they're $20. $20 on PayPal for a template. He's got a fish, he's got a longboard, he's got the mini Malibu. As soon as you pay him, you're going to get an email with a PDF file, and that PDF file is going to contain this template. Now what you can do with this PDF file is print it out. It can print out in sheets. As you can see here, this is sheet number 1 for the 8 foot mini Malibu. And you can print it out on 8.5 by 11 sheets on your printer. And you'll get a bunch of them. And you'll want to tape those together and then cut your templates out. But what you can do is call up one of your local blueprint companies. I know you got one around you. Just look it up online. Blueprint companies. And what they can do is they can get on one of their large format printers, and they'll print the entire template out on a sheet for you. And it's not going to cost that much money, and it's the way to go. You really don't have to do any taping. You just cut that template out, and saves you a lot of time. You don't have to do it. Definitely recommend it, but you can still tape the sheets together. Once you cut those templates out, you're going to go ahead and lay them out on your board and trace the template, and that's going to be our next step. So we're going to go ahead and start on that in just a few minutes.